Dear friends and family, hello, pranam. Following is the conversation with Mr. Abhinav Shrivastava. He is a senior advocate at Patna High Court. I know him from the time I was doing my judicial clerkship at Patna High Court. Following are my top three takeaways from this podcast. Lesson number one: it is advantageous for an individual to start their practice from their respective hometown. Lesson number two: that a pursuit of happiness is far more important than a pursuit of career, because we need happy lawyers, happy doctors, happy engineers, and in general, happy professionals altogether. And lesson number three: reading isn't enough. An individual can be a well read person and a dishonest person, both at the same time. With this, I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
I've heard you arguing before the Chief's Court during my judicial clerkship. I found your arguments, the points were very on point, but more than the points, it was about how you have put across your point, basically the command over your language. I've been very impressed by that. I've always thought that someday I'll get to talk to you. I'm really glad that this is the medium that we chose to know more about you and record our respective thoughts. So the idea is that we start from who you are as a person, what has the journey been like before I got to saw you in the court, and we also try to find out through your experience what's the institution been like, how you have seen the institution evolve over the period of time, and about the state of Bihar. So we'll start from your background. So were you born in Bihar,
Yeah, I was born in Bihar,
in Patna?
not in Patna. A place called Chhapra, if you're aware of it.
Hmm.
So I was born in Chhapra.
Okay, so your native, your parents.
Yeah, my village is around 30 kilometers from there. But it was for the reason that my father, he was posted there around that time.
Mhm.
So when I was born, my father was posted in Chhapra. So that's how I was born in the government hospital there.
Oh, great. And where did you do your schooling from?
It had been from different places. When I was very young, my father was posted in Muzaffarpur. So I went to some school there.
I'm from Muzaffarpur.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. So, though I don't remember too many things from Muzaffarpur, so I cannot really comment on how
Till
great
which
an
class
experience.
were you in Muzaffarpur?
I studied there till the second standard.
Second standard.
Yeah.
So you were young.
And then from there we went to Chhapra.
Mhm.
As in my father was again, posted back. So it was around that time that, because of this frequent transfers and all, that there was, I could not continue in one school.
Mm.
Consistency was not there. And there were several other factors. So after that, uh, I went to a boarding school. So
Boarding school where in Bihar?
no, not in Bihar, outside Bihar. As in, if you are aware of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan,
Yes.
so they have these, schools in different parts of the country.
Mhm.
So we have one Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Vidya Ashram. That's in Jaipur.
In
Jaipur.
Jaipur.
Yeah, Rajasthan.
Mm.
So
So
that's
which
where I
class did you
studied.
go there?
I went there in ninth standard. I studied till the 12th standard there.
Okay, 9 to 12th.
Yeah.
So was this the time where you were exposed to literature and you read during this time, or was it during college?
I don't know as in if that
Or were
is.
you always a reader? That was the question.
No, I never told you that I was a reader. So
From my experience, how much I've interacted with you.
I have been
The
reading.
command over your language, where
The
does it
command I
come
would
from?
not really boast about it, but uh, no, it was not around that time only. It was before that.
Mm.
While I was young, I don't know when I was introduced to it, but I cannot really claim to be
Who
a
has
great
been
reader, but I
instrumental
have
to?
been reading. I like to read more than reading, as in I'm interested in stories,
Mm.
listening to stories and telling stories.
Mm.
I believe the word for that is raconteur. So I
Mm.
wanted to become one. I wanted to be good at storytelling.
Okay.
So it was. I would
What I
not say
wanted to
that this was
understand.
that phase of my life when I was exposed to it. I would say that I have perhaps always been exposed to it.
Mm.
Like when we were in Muzaffarpur, so
Mm.
I have my elder siblings. So they had gotten these, those Russian literature,
Mm.
Mir publishers, and all those books.
Mhm.
So we had a lot many of them, children's stories and all that. So I was very young, perhaps, second, third standard, I started reading. I do not claim to be a voracious reader or
Who
any of
brought you
those
those
things.
books? Your father?
No, my siblings.
Your
It
siblings?
was there in the house. No,
Okay.
I have three elder siblings. I'm the youngest in the family.
Hmm.
So I just had to emulate, whatever they were doing. So if somebody was reading, I do not distinctly remember who introduced me to something,
Hmm.
but it was something which was there, which was happening. So I had to pick it up.
Okay. So
You
everybody.
cannot really say that this person taught me to speak.
Mhm. So everybody in
It's
your
the,
family
I would,
is into
let's
literature.
not claim that, but yes, people had been reading. So, maybe I picked it up from there.
Okay.
I'm not talking about them. I'm trying to answer your question because it is for the
No, my
first
question
time.
was, what I wanted to understand was that
It was
where.
not when I went to that boarding that I got interested in reading and all. I had been reading from before that.
Okay.
So
So
that had always been there.
so no institution has been instrumental into that.
No, no, no. It
It's
was the household
it's
only.
your it's
Yeah,
a it's
it's
the
my
environment of the
yeah,
household.
yes,
Okay, great. Then you went to college in Pune
yeah.
after 12th.
After school,
After
when
school.
I was there in school, I read. I read quite a bit.
Mm.
I was introduced to those things, and I wouldn't. But I'm not discrediting my school for that.
Mhm.
But it was that age
Mm.
when you are curious about things. 9 to 12.
Right, right.
So that's the time when you get interested in things,
Mm, mm,
several things.
mm.
So it was around that time that I was exposed to many things, and we had a good library there. Then, well, I read around that time.
Mm.
I I cannot really understand why I was reading,
Mm.
but it was interesting, so I would read. So
So you're
that was how
chasing
it
your
was.
curiosity, whatever piqued your
No, it
interest.
is it is not exactly like that. I am not a very sincere person, so to say.
Okay.
That it is not that doggedness that gets into me that I have to achieve this. It's never like that.
Mm.
If it is interesting me, I'll pursue it.
Mm.
It is never that I have to achieve this.
Mm.
Because I have a feeling I have to achieve this is never for yourself.
Mm.
The most of the times it is to prove to
To
others.
others. Yes.
So I was never a part of that race.
Mm.
And then I have this strong tendency of losing interest in people, in things,
Mm.
in my own interests.
Mm.
So I would not say I was chasing anything. But if we have to talk as a matter of fact, so that I was exposed to those things
Mm.
and I read.
So which period of your time have you read the most?
I've been reading continuously. Which period, it's difficult to identify
I mean,
because
I'll give you options during school, that is until 12th, after college, during college and after college.
that is one constant that's been there. Because of the profession as in
Mm.
now, I do not get to read all that much,
Mm.
but off and on I read. I read as in, of course, in the profession you are reading the entire time. I'm
Right.
talking
But
about,
that is not the kind of reading I'm talking about. Like something which you said by your curiosity, something that interests you.
those kind of things as in it has reduced now,
Mm.
primarily for want of time.
Mm. Mm.
Matlab, I do not claim to be very busy, but it is a profession that
Mm.
it keeps you occupied. You
Mm.
know,
Right, right.
even if you have to go through the facts, even if you are reading the file, the
So
annexures that are
now
there.
you are saying that you are not getting a lot of time to read.
No,
So,
I managed to read.
but
I'm,
because of not having lot of time.
but there was a time when I was only reading.
Which time was it?
That was college time.
College time.
Yeah.
That is what I wanted to understand.
College time, I read the most, as in those 5 years.
Mm.
Like you would understand, our classes used to be over by say 12 or so,
Mm.
and it was not compulsory to attend all those lectures. We had this what to say we had this liberty around that time.
Mm.
And now it has become very strict. You have those compulsions about attendance and all. Around our time also it was there,
Mm.
but there were a few lectures that you could skip.
Mm.
And then you had a lot of time during the day.
Right.
The day virtually was over by say 12:31.
Mm.
So after that, we had an exceptionally good library. The college that I went to,
Mm.
we had a very rich library, and it is not the richness as in no matter how rich the library is, nobody is able to read all the books that are there.
True.
But it has, it plays on your mind that we have a good library.
Mm.
So once you have a feeling like that, you try to avail it.
Mm.
Well, to some extent, I was going there to read also, and maybe partly I was trying to impress people.
Yeah.
So I would not really deny all of that.
So you are reading to impress people?
No, no.
You
That
just
was
said
just
that.
a joke.
You just said that. Okay.
I read. Sometimes I read to prove others wrong.
Mm.
This I would admit and confess,
Mm.
which was a wrong thing to do, but that's all right.
Mm.
And then if somebody is there who's trying to mislead everybody else,
Mm.
or is trying to cast a particular impression,
Mm.
without any foundation, then you need to demolish those superstructures.
Right.
I believe that, if you come across something which is not right, you should not allow it to grow to a particular point.
Mm.
It has to be stopped then and there.
Right. So, after your 12th, how did the decision to study law come?
It was, of course, I was a student of maths and physics and chemistry. That was my combination.
In 12th, you had
In
science.
12th, I had, maths and science. So the natural choice around that time was engineering.
Engineering.
When I was growing up,
Or
I'm
if you
talking
have
of
biology, then
99, I completed, I passed 12. So, that was the natural thing. But I would say that I was not very sincere towards these subjects. I could talk, and I just got to learn about this profession. We don't have any lawyers in our family. It is not that I'm not aware of lawyers. We have known lawyers. That as a matter of career option, that never struck me. As a matter of fact, till the 12th standard, I did not have in my mind as to what exactly I wanted to. I wanted to become everything, but lawyer was not one of those.
Okay. So, how
But
did
that it happened just as a matter of chance. And I had always loathed those students who from the ninth standard started pursuing their dream,
Mm.
because I don't know, they were not pursuing their dream. They wanted to
Again.
make some gains. I don't know what they were trying to do.
Mm.
These aspirations mostly I find to be completely misplaced.
Mm.
A 13-year-old child cannot be expected to know what a doctor does, or what an engineer does, or what a senior police official or a government servant does.
Mm.
So it is primarily the aspirations that they develop because of the surrounding environment and the kind of stories that they get to hear,
Mm.
which I consider to be an injustice meted out to those children.
Mm.
Fortunately, I did not have any kind of a pressure, no pressure of any kind. My parents had been, uh, it was primarily about health. It was not about do this, do that. There was no pressure, even on my elder siblings. As in, if they assume something and they created that pressure upon themselves, that's a different story, because of the surrounding, whatever was going on in their surroundings. But otherwise, I do not really remember my parents having insisted for anyone to do a particular thing. It was never there. So, and they did not avail that liberty. I did to the fullest. So I had no career plans in my mind. I wanted to join the armed forces, but it so happened that I could not fill in the forms in time,
Okay.
the NDA forms. Yeah, I
What
was
were you
interested
busy
in
with?
that. I was a very sincere NCC cadet when I was there at the school. So that was how it was. I couldn't apply. Then what was something was to be done. Then we got to learn about law a little prior to that only. Before I completed 12th, I had uh, bought those books on where to study law and all that. 5 years course was a new thing around. It was not all that new, but it was not uh, as viral as it is today. So by viral I mean it's like a disease only. Everybody trying to study law without even knowing what it's like. It's the same thing. A 13-year-old starting to prepare for JEE or NEET or all that. So it's not good. It's not right. That is why we are not getting good people here. Just
So,
in case those questions,
yeah,
I'm
yeah, of course.
asked
So,
and we get the
ideally, when
opportunity, I'll
should
explain how and why.
ideally, when should one decide what to study?
We need to bring about some changes in our entire, the system which is being followed. Whatever policies the policymakers are, coming up with. Well, to the best of my understanding, a 13-year-old boy does not know what he wants in life, right? We would not want disgruntled doctors. At the age of 27, after having done PG and all those things, a qualified doctor realizes that his dream, it lies elsewhere. What would he do? We want happy people. In whatever profession we want happy people, we want happy doctors, we want happy engineers, we want happy bureaucrats. Let's not call them bureaucrats, let's call them, civil servants. But they have to be happy.
Right.
They should not be disgruntled and dissatisfied with the system. And we most definitely need the happiest judges.
So, when you chose, you were happy about your decision?
I became happy. I was happy around that time for the reason that it came easy. I went for that interview. I applied in ILS Law College. It was a lot of drama was involved. It was the last day. I managed to reach there. They offered me admission. I got admitted, and it was good. It was very good. Law, I actually, I enjoyed thoroughly, studying law. The only thing that I didn't like was this examination pattern where they ask you 5 questions and you have to answer them. And on the basis of the answers given by you are declared as a topper or not a topper. That system is bad. That examination pattern, I do not agree with that. And if you ask me why, because we have the empirical data. I don't know where the toppers went. They were selfish people, all behind, getting an easy job somewhere, securing their existence, settling down in life, buying houses, going on foreign trips, eating food, taste of which they never appreciated, seeing places which they never understood, buying cars and getting scared with the power and the rest of the things that those vehicles have. So otherwise, then it was great. 5 years at that college, it was very good. It was around that time alone that I understood many things, which I still use in life.
Such
And
as
life is good. Life is good. Life is not to be understood. Life is to be
to be
lived,
lived.
right? So I would not say that I understood. I lived, and the way I lived then, it helps me even today.
How do you identify yourself? Do you identify yourself as a cheerful person?
I can be happier than what I am.
No, like naturally, were you always a cheerful person?
Yeah, I have always been a philosopher, but not one of those cranky kinds.
Okay, not cynical,
Nay, I'm
Diogenes.
cynical. I'm cynical. I make fun of people. I like to, prove them wrong when they're wrong, not on purpose just to prove them wrong. But otherwise, I don't know. My
But
opponents might not be
but
liking
you
me.
quoting all the different kinds of philosophers. You have once quoted Diogenes, the dog, to me.
We are quoting the things that suit us momentarily. So we are not following any one philosophy.
Right.
Those philosophers never asked us to follow them.
True.
Those philosophers gave the philosophies of life, right?
Mm.
And it is for us to take whatever, all of that is true. It is where you stand from, as in, it is where you stand that things look, in a particular way. Things remain the way they are. Our viewpoints might just change. So this is how we have to look at things.
But are there anything such as happy philosophers? I'm not aware of.
They are all seeking happiness alone. They are sad. That is why they are philosophizing.
Yes.
You understand that?
Yes, yes.
So the happy people,
Because
they
happy
never.
people are busy partying. Who are the
No,
people who?
happy people are just being happy.
Hmm.
They would never philosophize. Then you pick a man from the slum who was a great author there, living in a ghetto, and you put him in a 7-star hotel. He would not know what to write. He's getting his contents from there. It is that the misery alone which is giving him this entire idea. So it is there is not just one thing. There are several factors. They all come together. I do not say that all philosophers were unhappy people.
No.
But Marcus Aurelius, he spent his life, just trying to push those Germanic tribes revolting against him.
Yeah, but Marcus Aurelius was also an
And then,
unhappy person.
he was writing, meditations there.
Meditations there.
If you
If
read
you'll see,
meditations
yes.
or this entire, that thing of stoicism and the rest of the things, so where was that coming from? We cannot be happy because we left the path that the nature or the God, chose for us. We started making our own path. It's very simple. Do not trouble others. Everything is in abundance.
I'll give you my example. I started reading because I found that there's so much. I was very conflicted inside. I felt turbulent at most times. So I started reading to find answers. Why am I feeling this way? What are the different solutions? So I could tell myself that I'm naturally not a very happy person. Now I'm better at a better place because I have understanding of the world. I have better understanding of the world. So I've become little orderly. My thoughts have become stabilized. So that was the question. So are you naturally a happy person who was just reading, or you had such kind of struggles growing up?
No, I was not reading out of unhappiness.
Mm.
It was not that I was seeking answers.
Mm.
I was reading because I like to read those things. I do not claim to be, as I must clarify that every 15 minutes, that I'm not a great reader or anything. But I was not reading out of any feeling of that kind. It was not out of dejection that I was reading. It was not out of, what to say, it was not because I could not see anything that I was reading to get that, direction or that light. It was never that.
But why read Stoicism? Why read Marcus
I'm not
Aurelius?
reading Stoicism.
Sorry?
I'm not reading Stoicism. What I say is that they have written, they are Stoics.
But
And
you have read, that is how you know, right?
before I was reading it, I didn't know what it was.
But once you started reading,
Once I started,
it must be adding some value to your life, right? Which
it gave me a perspective, of course.
Yeah.
See, and then it's about endurance. I'll just tell you how. You played sports.
Yeah, I played in school.
You played in school. You went for those, long distance athletic things.
Yeah.
So once you're running, you do not cover those, 1,000 meters or 800 meters or 10,000 meters in one day. Gradually, you you improve on your stamina, and you you create that endurance in yourself, right?
Right.
So Stoicism or any of that philosophy, it is, gradually, step by step, they arrive at something, and then they tell you that this is one of the ways of looking at it. Life is not about, it's not black and white. It is not about gray also. I'm not going to use any of those,
Color.
those figures of speech. It's a very simple thing. It is a simple thing. Why do we have to add so many dimensions to it? Once we had so many dimensions, once we had so many complications, then perhaps, somebody was trying to dispel the doubts that we had in our minds. So they philosophized on that. Now it is their own experience of a given situation which they are trying to elaborate. Like, this Roman things, it's a very famous and a popular thing, that when a Roman general entered Rome after having won a battle, so, the entire Rome used to be there on the streets, and they would be, showering them with flowers and all that. And then even the Roman emperors, they would, grudge those, generals. They would want to be there, and who will not? And at the peak of that Roman glory, there would be a man not noticed standing right behind that general on the chariot, and he would be whispering into his ears, "The general, remember, thou art mortal, thou art mortal." So at the peak of that Roman glory, somebody is reminding you that don't be, swayed by these things. You're going to die one day. Thou art mortal. These reminders we need in our lives. The present day scenario, everything has gone bad. Everything is wrong. You're just walking down the street and suddenly you're stopped from walking because there is some VIP who's coming. Can we allow those VIPs around us? I don't want to throw any challenge at anybody. You ask those VIPs to sit here, in front of me, and let's have a discourse on any subject of his choice. Don't mistake me to be a proud man. Do not think that I'm being arrogant.
I know what
But
you're trying to say.
we act on a given, a premise that if you are like this is your value. We were never taught anything like that. Now, I consider myself to be an idiot when I see a substandard man, by virtue of, abuse of the process of law that is there, in existence, he becomes that. And his intention is not anything. His intention is just to prove himself to be better than the rest, because he's a complex creature. Why will he have so many bodyguards? Why should he have that kind of security? If you have that security threat or security, threat perception, you be indoors. And as a matter of fact, we feel threatened by those Johnnies there on the streets. No, a criminal turned thekdar turned politician turned minister, he needs security. We need security from those people. You understand that?
Right.
So when we are dying to prove a point, you look at those people. I've known them personally. I've seen them.
But aren't you afraid to confront with these questions to these people who come from power?
You do not throw stone into that thing, no? I would not like to use the expression. You just avoid that. If they come in my way, I'll teach them a lesson for sure. I'm a law-abiding citizen, and I'm a proud man. I do not violate any of the rules that are there. I do not break laws, and I believe that is my greatest strength.
I mean, just what you're just saying, I recently revised Apology by Plato on Socrates' trial, and how he upset all the different people who comes from power, and different people at his trial were against him just because he has upset him by saying that you are not worth what you are representing. So one has to be careful about not upsetting the wrong
No,
people.
there are ways of looking at things. If I want that kind of an honor by a college of scholars, there I have to be careful. See, you can be truthful or you can be politically correct.
Hmm.
My endeavor would be to
Very
be
nicely put.
truthful and politically correct too.
Hmm.
And if I have to select between the two, I'll try to be truthful.
Hmm.
A little more money, few more bucks, a little moolah over my sleep. My sleep is,
Yeah.
I must go home and sleep well.
Hmm.
If I have, uh, what is that word, which gets, easily upset, something which is very fragile.
Sensitive.
What is that called? I'm sorry, I'm not able
Sensitive,
to.
someone who's
Yeah,
sensitive.
sensitive, you can say. Oversensitive conscience.
Neurotic.
So, huh?
Neurotic.
No, not that far. I would not go that far, that is to say, but it is, it is somewhat like that. It gets affected very easily. So I'm not going to speak something just to make somebody feel better. Either I won't talk, or if I speak, I'll speak the things which according to me are right. I cannot be dishonest. What do I be dishonest for? By God's grace, I have a place to live. Heavens have been extraordinarily kind. The basic needs that I have them all. I don't want a Lamborghini as of now. Even if I want it, perhaps I can just delay that for some time, or perhaps I'll never have it. But in order to have one fancy vehicle of that kind, if I have to destroy myself, then who for will I have it?
Right.
You understand? A part of me is gone to have an external thing which will decay and which is subject to all those, the elements of nature, they are affecting them every day. I don't want that. I want what makes me feel good, amongst many other things. Calling a spade makes me very happy. So I'm not on a lookout for spades, but if they come in my way, I'll call them that. No problem. For petty gains, I'm not going to appease people.
Great. I think we are philosophizing a lot. Coming back to the law school again. So, during your law school, you told that you have read a lot. What you did not like is the examination during the
Examination pattern and the students, insincere people who are primarily about making their resume very strong. I do not say that don't do that, but only with the intentions of securing a placement is not the right thing. Law has a purpose. If you go to a medical school,
Were you clear about that purpose before you joined law
no, I
school?
was not clear about that purpose.
When did you?
When I was there at the law college that I went to, so I was exposed. I got to learn about the corporate law, and that was all these firms and all this entire culture was in it was in a fledgling state, I would say. We didn't have so many law firms and all. It was still a market that was far from saturation. You had a lot many opportunities. You had classification of law firms, and you had which was also not very clear. You had law firms or you had no law firms, right? So now we have tier 1, tier
Tier
2, I
2,
don't know
tier
what
3.
all things, and
Yeah.
I don't know who does the rating. They have done it themselves, I believe, to make themselves feel better. I don't know what it is. I don't want to antagonize people, sir. And because of this speech on camera, I don't know what's going to happen, but something will happen. So I'm not saying I was against it. Who am I to be against anything? I will not follow it. I'm not saying that I am right, they are wrong. What I'm trying to tell you is that, that was something that I could never take to. I could never appreciate.
So, were you always clear about that? That was
Always.
the question. About the purpose that you don't have to join a
No, it
corporate
was not.
practice.
No. Till my fourth year, I was not clear about it.
What was instrumental to your purpose?
I did an internship, and around that time, I got to see the legal work that people in the law firms do. It was mostly arranging documents. They call it advisory, but there is no advisory. Trust me on that. Then they talk about deals. It is the finance professionals who do that.
Yeah.
Mostly, people who are chartered accountants and all. So that internal thing is done. There, I'm not undermining their contribution. I should not do that. They finalize the contracts and the rest of the things, which according to me was it was an exceptional, it was a very important thing. I just am trying to be good. So,
You're trying to be politically correct and not
I'm
truthful.
not being politically correct. I just am trying not to hurt people who I know.
Yeah.
They should not feel hurt. It
Let's try
is.
to balance between being truthful
I
and
didn't like it.
being
It's as
political.
plain and as simple as
Yeah.
that. That
Great.
wearing a tie and a coat and talking to people about law where there is no law involved, and just I'm not there to sell detergent. No, I'm not selling Chamko, that detergent, that movie that we had. I'm not doing that. And I have to tell people the right things. I have to tell people about the provisions of law. And when somebody is caught, somebody's stuck rather, then I have to help him get out of a situation if the law supports him. So somehow I have a feeling that when my experience and during that internship was such that put me off completely, and it was an artificial environment. The people spoke. I don't know what they spoke. The food that they ate, and they were making close to no contribution towards their surroundings or society that they were part of. They were basically servicing an already established industry, the so-called, the corporate world. And that service, I thought I could never provide. So that was one of the reasons.
So you knew about
Unfortunately,
what not to do, but that does not explain how did you find what to do.
I realized that I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, so that's what you realize what not to do.
Yeah. So after I graduated, I came back. There are a few things which I would not like to talk, as in, they're not here to counter that. So it would be unfair on my part to talk about those things.
Talk about yourself, like
Yeah. So some people were kind. I could have easily gotten into that corporate world. There were people, agreeable to push me, but I didn't like it, so I didn't do it. I came here, and before that, I had never done any internship under a lawyer. So
you came here, you came back to Patna.
I came back to Patna. Yeah. So I came back to Patna, and I did not apply for enrollment also. I was at home. My results were out. I had managed to clear all the papers. I had passed. So an acquaintance of ours, he told me that, or I do not remember who he said that thing to. He said that he's doing nothing at home, and even if he joins the profession, he won't be doing anything. So, why not join and then do nothing rather than sitting at home? So
So
that
this
was,
decision was clear for you to come back to Patna.
nothing was clear to me. The
I
only
mean, you
thing
did
that was
not want
clear to
to.
me was that I was not going to do that.
Oh, okay, okay. And with that,
Then
in
I
your
came
mind, you
back.
came back.
Yeah, without knowing and without thinking or without planning what was it that I was going to do.
Okay.
So that was how it was. Then I got to learn from him only.
And were you okay with it? Sorry to interrupt. Were you okay with it, not
Okay with
knowing
what?
what's next?
Yes, of course I was okay with it. There was
Okay.
no pressure on me. I was at home.
Mhm.
My brothers and my sister, as
So you're
in,
not anxious at all, like
no,
as
they
a
were
person.
doing my siblings. They were doing what they had to do,
Mhm.
and there was no pressure on me. They were not telling me. At least my parents were not telling me anything. I did not have that realization that I should do something. That was 22 years and a few months. That's okay. I was thinking that I had a lot of time. I could do whatever I wanted to do and things like those. So that was okay. Nobody was asking me to do anything. So through this acquaintance, we got to learn about one Dr. Sachidanand Jha. So somebody had told me about him earlier that he had done his LLM and JSD or SJD, they call it, doctorate in law from Yale University, which I disbelieved, of course. A man who had done his, LLM and JSD from Yale University, what was he doing in Patna? But actually, he had. So one evening, this acquaintance
Did you
who
find
knew
the
him,
answer to that question?
yeah, of course, he had done it.
No,
And
no, no.
then,
What is he doing here in?
yeah, I got the answer, but that was not a good answer. So that's some sad thing. So we won't talk about it.
Okay.
So then I went there to meet him with that acquaintance only. And on the first day, he discouraged me to join him. There were a lot many people. He was close to 78, 79 years of age. He was an old, frail man, but very sad. He had this thing on the on a wooden thing which was there. It read, "For God, for country, for Yale." So I knew that he had been to Yale. Then later, as in that, he was one of the reasons why I, stayed back. Stayed back in the sense why I remained in this profession. We used to have long conversations. He had found me more than what he was for me, as in I was to him. We used to have really long conversations. For 6 months, neither did I get any work from the office, nor did he speak to me. So that was how it was.
So all these long conversation was after 6 months.
6 months, I was just, I was just sticking around or showing that perseverance. And then that thing, got into me that I have to do this. I would leave this place only after I have done something. I'm not going to run away. I don't like cowardice. If I ran away, it was a challenge. I got the license. I didn't know anything about the High Court. I didn't know anybody there other than him. I joined his office. Lawyers and doctors, the staff that they have, their clerks and their support staff, they're mostly ill behaved. If it is a successful lawyer, then his clerk will be, slightly rude and behavior will be unbecoming. It goes for the doctors also in Bihar. The doctors,
The
they're
success gets
worse.
rubs to them.
Yeah. So doctors may be good, but the staff that they have as in members of staff, it's very sad the way they are sometimes. But still, we would not delve into those areas. So then it was, then I, after 6 months, by and by, it was an organic process. If you become, familiar with somebody's face, someday you'll ask him something. So yeah, after 6 7 months, I started getting, opportunity to assist him in matters. Then after a few years, he allowed me to argue. He would sit by my side. So that helped me a great deal in, judges recognizing me. My identity used to be Dr. Jha Jr. Then over a long period of time, as in they got to learn about, as in they learnt my name. Not got to learn about anything extraordinary about me, but yes, they could know my name. They knew my name and they started addressing me as, Mr. Whatever. So when you are new to a place, when you have joined a profession of this kind, and you do not have a support system, of the kind that you look around and you see. I do not say that second, third generation lawyers, then that is no expression. No, we have created that thing. So they have some support. When you don't have any, then it affects you somewhere. It would not affect you in the manner that you become disgruntled. I was never disgruntled. I was not complaining that I'm a first generation lawyer and I'm not being treated well. I never did that because I never believed in it. I always believed in one thing: we are running, right?
Right.
We'll see who completes the race, who finishes, who reaches the finish line. I was not competing with anyone. You have sports where everybody wins. It is your performance alone which is seen. And in the end, if somebody has performed better than you, then on that basis, they may be declared to be the winners. But you're not, so to say, it is not a neck to neck fight. It is not a boxing match every time. You are fighting against yourself, or you are competing with yourself, or you are realizing the extent to which you can push yourself, or for the first time in your life you also are surprised, I'm capable of doing this. So that's how it is. So he allowed me that opportunity. God was kind. This place was extremely, what to say, supportive. And it did not really matter to me whether I was a first generation lawyer or a third generation lawyer, or I was, somebody's nephew, or my uncles were there. It did not really matter to me. I can say that with a sense of certainty. It allows you nothing. It allows you some mental thing, and it makes you complacent. So I would say that if you're a second generation lawyer, the chances of you becoming a better lawyer are lesser than the one who is a first generation lawyer. It is all mind
Very well
game.
put.
No, you
Yeah.
come here with a particular mindset. You would perhaps not work as hard as the first generation lawyer would. Deep down, subconsciously, you have this fear. Nahi hoga to kya hoga? Those are the kind of things. Those things push you.
You have told
And
me that
it is, they say, success counts sweetest. I'm not talking about my success because I do not think I'm all that, I have a success story to share with you. I just am telling you the way things happen. So the first few years, financially, it was difficult, but I never faced any difficulty because I was living here with my parents. Now, if you ask me how it was, then I would say that yes, if I had to sustain myself in the city, it would have been very difficult. But otherwise, I faced no difficulty. I was not living in, I still am living with my parents, and that's what they do. If I'm their child, then they have to provide me with all those things.
Right.
So they were just playing their part. I was also playing my part, and it just worked. So we are talking.
So had you not come back to Patna, this would have been difficult for you if you would have started your practice, say, in Delhi or something.
Why would I do that? We
Yeah,
have the
that's
same
what.
High Court in Patna.
Yeah, that's
Why
what.
will I go to Delhi?
A lot of people have that
Yeah,
preference.
because I don't know, how do they know?
Mm.
Even without having experienced life, they know so much about life. How could it be?
Mm.
We were, talking about these Greek philosophers.
Mm.
They made those, sculptures. You look at their faces, they have long beard, old people. That's when wisdom dawns upon them.
Mm.
What are we doing here? A 23-year-old boy knows what happens in Delhi and what's the difference between Delhi and Patna. Patna had to be the natural choice. I belong to the state of Bihar.
Mm. Very
What
well
greener
put.
pastures? If I have to make contribution, I can make contribution only in New York City, and I cannot make contribution in Patna. Come to think of it, how selfish can we be?
Mm.
This is selfishness. This isn't anything.
Mm.
I don't want to, sound philosophical and
No, yes.
all that, no drama, no
Mm.
dramatics or any of those things. But what are we after? Now you come across, this funny notion. He's practicing in the Supreme Court.
Mm.
Oh, for heaven's sake, man, the
In
Supreme
Delhi,
Court
everybody
lawyers
is.
themselves are telling us that it is a lottery system.
Mm.
SLPs, whether or not they would be allowed, nobody can predict, no matter how good the case is. It's about taking a chance.
It's a signaling, no? In Delhi, everybody is a Supreme Court lawyer. So
No,
they are
what
trying
is a
to.
Supreme Court lawyer? AOR in the Supreme Court, I can understand. They have a separate examination. But he is a lawyer from the Supreme Court would mean what?
To the clients, it's a signaling that I am
It is
a
not a
lawyer.
signaling. It is about branding, yourself.
Yeah, that's called
Like
signaling.
you have Brahmins, then you have better Brahmins, then you have more Brahmins than Brahmins. You understand that?
Yeah.
Like all animals are equal, but some are more equal
More
than
equal
others.
than others.
Right? So it's basically that.
Mm.
A lawyer is a lawyer, for God's sake. You get the same qualification.
Mm.
And as per the law of the land, you get the registration, done in one of those bar councils. I got myself enrolled at Bihar State Bar Council. Delhi could never be a choice for me back then. Now I can think. By and by the profession gets into you, you tend to think that you are better than the rest. Or I don't know. I'm not criticizing everything, but you come to think of it. My parents are living in Patna. All right. I have a place to stay. My food and the rest of the things will be taken care of. I'd be wearing clean clothes every day. Now I take some accommodation on rent in Delhi. Commutation, traveling every day, that is a matter of concern. Food is a matter of concern. Basic logistics, looking after, all the needs that are there, that is a matter of concern. And at the same time, I'm trying to establish my practice. How does it work? That is why we have lawyers of that kind in Delhi. Everybody does everything. I'm not trying to generalize, but you come across, those deceitful people. This is the reason. You have to learn and then you have to do things. You cannot just go on becoming something. I want to become this. How can you become that? I want to become a fighter pilot. Yes, that fascinates. This I can understand. I want to become a corporate lawyer. What do you know about it? A ninth standard boy saying that. Fighter pilot, yes. That is a
Because you could
natural
see.
thing. Everybody wants to become a soldier. As I told you, that was my first choice. I was very active in NCC, and we had a couple of ex-servicemen at my school. So they used to tell me that I'm cut out for that. So I had that aspiration.
Is it the act of service that appeals to you?
I think every person has that desire. We are what? We have to show our valor. That's where we get the opportunity. Nowhere else. That is one service that allows you all the opportunities to showcase all the attributes that you have. You can be sincere, you can be honest, you can be dedicated, you can be brave, you can be everything under the sun.
Not advocacy.
Not?
Not advocacy.
Yeah, it has those attributes.
Right.
It requires a greater degree of integrity, though. In those places, you have to be that. Training makes you that. Here, there is no training. Therefore, it is like walking on the razor's edge. It is worse than those places. And then this is a place where you are on your own.
True.
You have to evaluate yourself. You have to assess your performance. then you have to stop yourself from doing certain things, no matter how lucrative that could be, Then you have to maintain your integrity, which is a rarity now. Nobody has that. You have to be honest towards your clients. There are two ways of, I'll just tell you how it works. A client comes to you with a problem. Now you look at the papers and you advise that person that you cannot file a case because these are the provisions of law which are against you, and there are no chances of success even if you go to court of law. I'm not being a lawyer, I'm being a judge, but I have to be the first judge, and I have to tell them the right thing, right? Now people say that you cannot become a judge. If somebody comes to you with a case, you file it, the judges will decide. Why do you have to decide? What do you have as the basis? Greed. When I know that he is bound to lose, why should I make that man lose his money before he loses the case?
Also, on that point, someone told me that at least here in Bihar, clients pay you for filing the cases, not for your opinion. So the incentive is
No, you don't take money. It's for you. You have to rely on the providence. This is not a commercial enterprise, for God's sake, sir.
But this
is a noble profession. I believe in it. I follow it. I don't take money and I give them the right advice. And then I get to learn कि आप नहीं किए थे, उनसे करवा के हार गया. Then they come to me to file the appeal. I have instances one too many. I'm not here to sell myself. Don't take me wrong. I'm not promoting myself.
Right.
What I'm trying to tell you is that you are on your own. There is no reporting authority. Your ACR is not being filled up by anybody else. You have to decide it on your own whether or not you want to deceive somebody. Your clients, they come to you with all faith and belief, and then you deceive them for a few thousand rupees, a few lakh rupees. If you do not get that money, you're going to die tomorrow. If that is the situation, take it. If it is not that, please don't take it. You have spoiled the entire system the way it used to be.
That's a very good way of putting it.
People are flouting the law. People are disobeying the orders of the court. Courts are flooded with contempt matters. The executive authorities, they don't have any regard. I say that with a sense of, responsibility. How much are they obeying the orders of the court? The best, as an index to decide that would be the number of cases that are, the contempt applications that are pending before the courts. Even if 60% are frivolous, 40% are there where contempt has been committed. But the courts, while taking a lenient view of the matter, they allow them dates, allow them adjournments to comply with it. But contempt was committed in the first place. Why is this happening? This is happening because all the players who are involved, they have weakened this entire institution. We have lawyers who are not sincere. We have judges who have no motivation. We have judges who have no idea. You understand that?
Yeah.
And then we have the executive that clearly, blatantly, and without a loudspeaker, of course, but they are loud enough to say that hum jayenge Supreme Court tak ladenge. It is not their money. It is the public exchequer, which they have at their disposal. You challenge one action of the state, they lose it here. Unnecessarily, they go to the division bench.
State is the biggest litigant in this.
No, state is not the biggest litigant. It is against the state that majority of the cases are filed. So they are bound to become the biggest litigant.
But state
is not filing cases. State are respondents.
You just said no, state is going for the appeal.
So you don't call them litigants. They have a right to prefer appeal. I'm talking about the entire approach that the civil servants have. The civil servants have. The people who are, manning these offices, you have to look at them, their entire conduct. Now it is not about running this system. It is about proving one's superiority over the other. We are not driven people, unfortunately. And then look at this entire thing.
Do you like hierarchy?
No, I believe in plain hierarchy, but I believe in classification.
What's
By classification, I mean that there are some people who are good for a thing. Identify them and make them feel good that you are identified, you are being acknowledged.
Classification I understood. How do you define hierarchy?
What hierarchy? There shouldn't be any hierarchy.
No, you said no, that classification is good, but hierarchy is not. So how do you define
classification? Meaning thereby that you have X, Y, Z responsibilities. Now you have classified people on the basis of their merit, that X will be done by this, Y will be done by this, and Z will be done by will be done by this. And they should feel that they are being acknowledged for whatever they do. Hierarchy, a blind hierarchy, like on the basis of seniority, somebody is over everybody else's head. That man knows nothing, and there is somebody who is more efficient than him somewhere else. You pay him more salary, but there should be a direct acknowledgement that he is the one who is doing it. You have to give that incentive to people. You have to encourage them to do better. And we all realize in the long run that he can do this and he cannot do this. It's very plain and simple.
Right.
They are to be rewarded. Otherwise, why would he do it? Some people
Everybody
are helpless.
responds
They
to
have
incentives.
नहीं, some people are helpless. They have to do it. तो वो नहीं दीजिए कुछ भी कीजिए. For themselves, they would do that. But we cannot really bank on the self motivation alone. You say that this system, this is how it functions, and that system is not following any of the things that it professes to be following, then there is a failure. There are people who feel taken for a ride.
What's the
cannot
reward
compromise.
that you derive by being honest, by not charging money from your clients?
Sleeping well.
What else? That's all?
Feeling better than the rest. Able to justify the arrogance that I have.
Very well put. I was expecting that answer.
Yeah. But I'm not arrogant or anything. I just speak out. I feel for it. I'm extremely selective about the matters that I take. And according to me, it merits consideration. But some of course, you are bound to lose. It is not that I will always win. Nobody can do that. You're taking your chances, basically. But
I really liked what you told me last time, that your greatest contribution to the institution is that every year you do not let so many cases land in the court. Like you do not file those cases. You
yeah,
tell your
I
clients.
tried. Yes, we are populating, right, the courts. There are many important cases that will never be taken up. Why? Because we choked the entire system with junk. What for? A few thousand rupees, few lakh rupees. What am I going to do with that? Reach Mars.
Very well. Coming back to when you started practice at the High Court, you told me that you took it upon yourself as a challenge. And
I would not say that, we cannot really, that would be talking too highly of me. I don't want that to happen. I had started it. I could not have gone anywhere.
You realized at that point of time?
I could not have gone. I cannot run away. If I left around that time for the reason that I'm not getting opportunity to appear in courts and I don't have cases and all, that would be running away. This is how the profession works. If it has worked for somebody in the past, then it has to work for me also. This is how, those great lawyers came. I have not come here to become a great lawyer. I am here only to have some practice. But this is the same process that everybody has to go through. I have to go through this process. There can't be a distinction for me, no?
True.
We have heard stories of struggle, not here, everywhere in the profession. Let's not call it struggle. It is no struggle. I have no, proven track record, and it is a matter of life and death. Who would come to me? Will I go to anybody who does not have a proven track record? To get this shirt staged, we make several inquiries. Your tailor kaisa hai? Something that perhaps 6 months, 1 year, and we'll forget about that shirt.
That's a lesson on commitment.
I'm sorry?
That's a lesson on commitment. Why it is important to be committed to.
It has to be, because we believe in things which cannot be explained. When will I get my first case? This was never a thought. Someday it will happen. This was the approach that I adopted.
At this point of time, have you not thought of becoming a lawyer? A judge? Judicial magistrate?
No, never.
Why not?
It was a competitive examination. One had to clear that. I have remained against it always, all my life. I do not believe in competitive examinations of that kind, where you mug up things, go and write well, and then you are found to be suitable for a post. There is no test of integrity, which according to me is the most important thing.
Can there be a test of integrity?
No, there can't be any. You can only be tested on the basis of your performance over a period of time. We can have engineers who are good at numericals. We can have, doctors who are good in understanding biology and the rest of the subjects. We can afford to have good finance professionals because they understand accountancy, higher offices, integrity, and integrity alone. There can't be a second criteria. Integrity is pregnant with several qualities in itself. It is not one expression alone. Integrity, it cannot be defined.
True.
It is a man, when he takes upon himself a duty to perform, he will do everything attached to it in order to secure that goal.
There can't be objective test.
It cannot be. It has to be a subjective understanding. I give you a very basic example. We have the Collegium system, and I think this is an effective system, provided the members of the Collegium, they do not compromise their integrity. Otherwise, if you walk down the corridors of the High Court for 10 years, everything is known about you. Your character, your conduct, the places that you've visited, your family life, the money that you make, your conduct with your clients, your integrity, everything. And we keep getting, those acknowledgements every now and then. It is on the basis of that alone that, you are acknowledged here.
Right.
When it comes to appointing a judge, it has to be somebody's brother-in-law, a lawyer who is somebody's brother-in-law. But when it is somebody's brother-in-law's matter, you know the right lawyer. You understand?
Yeah.
So they also know who is good.
Right.
But somewhere they are perhaps, I would not like to comment on this thing, whether they are good or bad or otherwise. But this entire system, if it is worked effectively, it is amongst the most efficient things. You are allowing those who are sitting there and watching you every day to decide whether or not you are fit for that. What could be better than that?
Very well put.
And we have these commissions where you have a nominee from here, a nominee from there, some politician from somewhere. They will have their vested interest. The members who are there, if their integrity is in place and they are acting not on considerations other than merit, we have an exceptional pool from which exceptional people could be selected. There is no dearth of right people for the right job.
It's transparent for the members of the institution, but what the hue and cry around people is that it's not transparent to them.
I'll tell you something, I'm not commenting on the way it functions. But I told you about we are on our own, right? There is one very small factor that makes you a criminal or you do not become a criminal. It does not require any extraordinary talent. It is your shame. How well can you handle shamelessness? Right? A criminal who is shooting at everybody, he does not have the fear of being insulted, or being not or
and
being
the conscience
shamed.
knows.
No, he does not. It does not really
Your
matter.
conscience knows, but you choose
Yes.
to.
You choose. You make a decision that I do not want to become this. If you become shameless, you are a very dangerous man. And if the high offices are manned by shameless people, oh, nothing could be worse than that. Now we have, they are not our neighbors, so to say. They are our country only, which was divided because of I don't know what policies. Now, in the entire history of modern warfare, it was an exceptional victory that our armed forces, had over this conflict that we just had. 3.5 days and they surrendered.
True.
Now that neighbor is not producing scientists. That neighbor is not making any path-breaking, inventions anywhere. That neighbor is not known for art or culture on the world stage. That neighbor is not known for anything. That neighbor is known for Kashmir dispute, and that neighbor is known for preparing for war against India throughout. Right?
That's the
and when it happened, it was 3.5 days. Now those shameless people, you look at them.
Very good.
Now they have a general who went on to become the field marshal. Right? Now you have a prime minister of that land which has faced this, that kind of a defeat. They are professional forces and all. I have a lot of respect for their soldiers. We have our soldiers, they have their own soldiers. I'm talking about their, leaders. Now the shameless man, the prime minister there, he keeps changing his attire. I don't know who his advisor is. This suit, that suit, this tie, and they are all in style. Then they would be wearing those, goggles and all. And what is this? Are you celebrating some kind of a thing? Or are you just, it is some kind of an obsession that I'm a world leader? You are nothing. The entire country, your own country, it knows what your status is. Now, what is keeping them afloat? Shamelessness. You cannot beat those people. The people who celebrate loss and defeat, you cannot beat them.
They have accepted the worst.
They have not accepted the worst. They are shameless.
They can't go any lower than that.
No, it's a different thing altogether. You perhaps cannot even relate to it. They fought and they lost. They started it, we finished it. We finished it in record time. It is being acknowledged world over. But they say that we did this, we did that, we did whatnot. So when you have that kind of a people, we have similar kind of people here also, shameless. I'm not, comparing the two countries, but once you have somebody who's shameless, he becomes a dangerous man. X is made this. I'm talking about the profession, say he becomes a lawyer for some big organization. Entire High Court says that it is because of him that he became that, otherwise he does not have the merit or he has no proven track record. Now from becoming X, he becomes something else. Anything is possible. Now the entire High Court says, everybody knows that because he is this person's relative or he is this person's, godson or whatever you want to call it. So he pushed him there. Now the person, the both of them, the beneficiary and the benefactor, they are shameless.
Good analysis.
If you are not a good speaker, if you do not know what to say, if you do not have those oratory skills, why become the chief speaker in any event, man? You're bringing it upon yourself. And then you spoil the entire thing. And the kind of a system that we are a part of, you're talking about hierarchy. You do not call good speakers. You call the chief of a given institution. On what basis? Seniority. What is the purpose of this discourse? This is what you have to bear in mind.
Right.
Now, we have seen, these VIPs attending weddings, marriages and all. The bridegroom is, pushed aside. The chief minister is standing there. He is the man, it is his wedding.
Yeah.
No, he is the Amitabh Bachchan of the night and is being pushed aside.
They can't stand not being a VIP even for a minute.
No, it is not just that. It is about our mentality. Why do you invite chief minister? Does he know you? Does he know your family? It is a close family function. No? So when it is all about showing off, and after you show off, the worst part is that nobody is saying that he is a big man. Everybody is saying, "Dekhe wo aaya tha khel diya." It is even worse.
Right.
You spend a lot of money on some kind of a function, and everybody is making fun of that. I'm not hinting towards anybody. It is not my intention, to dig jibe at people. But if something is there, something is there. Do we appreciate when the entire traffic is stopped and there is some VIP who is passing through? It is the same VIP who 6 months back, haan jod ke aaya tha ki vote dijiyega. Now he becomes a VIP. What security, problems do you have here? What threat perception are we talking about? I just told you, a thekadar becoming a criminal, becoming a thekadar becoming a politician becoming something. And then you have this entire,
I just got reminded of what you just said, that you had your first interview with BBC and you told something similar on these lines.
BBC, they had started the selection train around 2005-06, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
So there was this journalist by the name George Ahne. And it was through one IPS officer that I was introduced to them. And I had barely 2 years of practice. So they were about criminalization of politics in Bihar. So I could not quite understand that expression. So they asked me this question, looking at a young boy, as in he was a big man. He had covered, big stories and all. So he asked me, what did I have to say about, criminalization of politics in Bihar? So I corrected him. I said that there can be no criminalization of politics in Bihar. What expression is that? As in, if the masses in any given area, they are able to relate more to a criminal than otherwise, then those criminals, they represent the criminal majority.
Yeah.
That's how it is. We have our own aspirations. We still have, those misguided youth. For want of better opportunities, for want of better, aspirations and the surrounding environment. they have these aspirations that someday I will grow up to become a henchman of so and so. They consider that to be a big thing. So
The environment shapes them.
it is a failure on the part of the state. We cannot contain it for petty gains. Now we have a government in Uttar Pradesh. I don't want to, praise somebody, or I do not want to cite given examples, but there were names, and they were considered to be, dreaded lot. They are eradicated. If state wants, what is not possible?
Right.
If the state has the will, the previous governments, they were important people.
State has the legitimate right to use force and coercion.
State does not have the legitimate right to use the force. State is beyond rights and duties. State is state. State is sovereign.
Right.
You know why the criminal cases are against the state? Not in this country, but in England, the original thing was it is a breach of king's peace. Somebody is disturbing the king. His peace is getting disturbed. That is why any criminal offense was an offense against the state. That's how they started it. So if the state assumes the responsibility, nothing like it. We don't need an army of people, man. These are internal matters. External, we have exceptionally good people there. The armed forces, there are pride. There is absolutely, no doubt about it. Internally, we strengthen it, as in it becomes a better place. We should endeavor for that. And those petty gains, small gains, of getting a car for my family with a bodyguard sitting in the front seat, opening the door for me. What is this petty, nonsensical thing? Is that all that you're about? But people are dying for that.
Right. Have you read John Grisham?
I started one, but I left that midway. I have seen more action in courts than what John Grisham could offer to me.
No, why I brought him up is John Grisham was a lawyer before he became a famous writer. So when he became a famous writer, he was asked, "What did you like the best about the profession of law?" And he said, "Leaving it, quitting it."
He must have had his own reasons.
Yeah. So what I mean to ask is, have you ever had
a thought of leaving the profession?
Yeah.
No, sir.
Never.
I'm a private man, a private individual with absolutely nothing. I just have a license given to me by the Bar Council here. Using that one license, I have been able to affect so many lives. You have any idea about the kind of power that a lawyer wields? I am nothing. I am nobody. And despite that, I would not say nuisance value, but still I have that, that influence in me. I have that. I don't want to use expressions like power and all, but it is power. Nothing empowers you more than the path of law. I know this is the right thing to do. Right? We are professing rule of law in this country. World over now. Who is more powerful than a lawyer who knows the law and who is not deviating from that path?
Very well put. Help me understand Patna High Court through your experience. No? What's good about
Patna High Court is an old High Court. So, the most important thing in any new place is the culture that you develop. So it is one of those, traditional high courts which were established by a charter of King John of England. Was it King John or I don't know? George V, 1912 charter, right? Not King John. King John is that King John of England, that Magna Carta, 1215. So it was George V whose charter, led to the establishment of High Court of Judicature at Patna. It's an old High Court. So it was the same system which was being followed in, the presidency towns, the high courts that were there, the courts that were there. We do not have a few of those jurisdictions. We don't have an original side here, civil side. But otherwise, it's an old high court. It's a traditional high court. It was a very good high court till a few years back. Now things are not as sunny as they used to be.
So until you joined?
Sorry?
So when you joined?
When I joined, it was good. But the people who were old then, they said that it has gone down the drain.
Okay.
Now I compare that time to this time, that was golden age. So maybe, somewhere in the 70s or 80s, there was a decadence that the profession faced. And it is not something that gives you results overnight. It is a long process. If the decay starts today, then you feel the consequences 10 years later.
True.
So I don't know what it was, but people left the place. So it was left to the leftovers. I do not. I have no intentions of criticizing anybody, but of course the standard has been compromised. What is responsible for it? I cannot really put my finger on any one reason. There are several factors that are there. Amongst many other factors, one factor would be that we have also fallen into the trap of turning this profession into a commercial enterprise. The lawyers are all about money now. The lawyers that we have here, and they don't care about the profession. Now, the manner in which appointments have been made in the past few years, of course, you have to select from the given lot only. So it is an uphill task for them. I really, we sympathize with the selectors. It's a very difficult task for them. But the thing is that, if something is not right, something is not right. We see that decadence, we see that degradation, we see that, that fall. That's the truth. I cannot do anything, but at least, when I get the opportunity, I can speak out the fact.
Some of the policy matters we can talk about. Earlier, when you must have joined, there must be AOR examination in the High Court.
AOR was introduced later.
Later,
When I
after you
joined, there was no AOR system. It was sometime around 2008-9 or so. It was introduced. Then it was rolled back, as in they called it off. AOR is not the solution. AOR examination is going to do what? We have such strict examinations in, all these government services and all. And then you have an active vigilance wing going on conducting raids every day, and corrupt people are being caught. Examinations don't serve the purpose. I told you, I'm against examinations for that reason.
Right.
A subjective understanding is the best understanding. Objectivity was introduced to show that we are transparent. And once you get into that show business, you destroy everything.
Very well.
You understand that? You are proving a point now. Everything is objective. No fingers can be pointed at us. Was that your responsibility? Let them point fingers. Do the right thing. Have that courage, no? Am I wrong?
No, not at all.
They were trying to save their own hide. Nobody can say that we have committed this, or there was nepotism, or there was, and that is what to say. It's like rabies, nepotism. Everywhere, it's all about nepotism. You have considerations. I do not say that. I'm not a disgruntled man. God has been extraordinarily kind, sir. I have made my, whatever gains I had to make, whatever I had to achieve, and the rest of the things. So I'm not saying this out of disgruntlement that I wanted X, and due to favoritism or nepotism, it was given to Y. It was, I wanted this thing, and it was not given to me because it was given to somebody else because he was close to him. By God's grace, I have not faced that situation so far in my life. At least I do not look at it like that. But they introduced all possible, transparent methods. But nepotism, it could never be curtailed. Let's get back to the same old system then. Committing mistake is not a problem. It is about once you realize, you must change that. It cannot be perpetuated, right?
Right.
So this is how it is. Now, what are they doing? We see there is a failure on the part of the government in doing this. The policies will continue because there are notings running from this office to that office. The courts would say that this is not our responsibility. The executive says it is a matter of policy. This is the policymaker said that the review committee is there. The review committee says that we are getting
Everybody
data
is
from
blaming
the field experts. The field experts say that there was a strike and therefore we have not been able to collect the samples. One fine morning, everything is there. It is all manufactured somewhere. Everything fails. We have to have that sincerity. Now, people within this country, people are living in different countries. You create an environment around yourself, right? And you think, that will never touch you. You basically are, insulating yourself from all around because of the money that you have. You make a law that if you are a public servant, then your child will go to the school. I'm not supporting it. But what I am trying to put across is they don't have any sincerity and they do not relate to the masses. They think that they are above them or they are outside. They are outsiders. So long as you have a sense of belonging, when a man comes to you seeking help, you have to empathize. You have to feel how must he be feeling. Then only I'm talking about myself. You have to be mindful of the fact that this man has a family. He must be, there must be a wife, there must be children, there must be their needs. If he has been wronged, I must set it right, because it is not just his existence.
Mhm.
And a man who has been meted out with injustice, can we not understand the indignation that he must be facing? We have had those, partial teachers in our schools. How did we feel then? For petty things, small things. Who will play back and who will play midfield. We used to feel
Right.
bad for those small things. And here is a man who is facing that, injustice in his real life. And his dependents, everybody is suffering. What am I about? Money. I pay my fees, I'll see what is to be done. No, this cannot be allowed to go on like this. You have to feel for them. And you have to have that sense of, gratitude. I'm talking about people holding the high offices. This is not how it should be.
No.
You claim that you're following a particular system. Follow it.
What I'm trying to understand is that people of integrity, are such people naturally born, or this is
Yes, I
something
guess
that,
so, yes.
yes.
It is the same environment that we are all brought up in. Now there are children in the 9th standard, they become, career conscious. How? When others don't. You understand that? And their net contribution is they go to IIT. Some of those who went to IIT came into politics also. We've seen the results.
Yeah. I know.
Of all things, Sharab Ghotala. Too bad. So I would not like to comment on that. Your intelligence or your capabilities to solve numericals does not have anything to do with your character and your integrity.
I'm reminded of Rousseau, something that I've read by him, that a person of integrity or a wise person, not in his exact words, my interpretation, that such person are born natural, and their speed, their journey can only be curtailed by these institutions, and these people naturally find their ways to do well in life. Do you agree with that?
Do well in life is a subjective thing.
Do well
I
in
do well in life is, a man who is not compromised his integrity, who is doing things the way he wanted to do those things. He is a happy man. He may be living in a shack, but he is a happy man. Now there is a thief who has been stealing, things from people. He may be emboldened sometimes because of the friends in the
Yeah,
process
that
he
is the
might steal.
definition of what's the good life is. But
No,
I'm
I would
talking
not go.
about.
I would not want to, philosophize on that, because I'm. Before I forget, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking in general
In
about people
general,
with
everything we are
integrity.
talking of in
I'm
general.
not saying that, I am the man with unimpeachable integrity, though that may be true. But I'm not talking about myself. I'm not to be mistaken about, a snooty man or egotistic man who's talking all about himself. Though it is my interview, so I have to talk about myself, but still, I'm not doing that. I just am trying to understand it in the right perspective and give you my idea about these things. But should a man who has not compromised his integrity, when he is subjected to bad things, should he not feel disgruntled? I gave you an example that in his shack also he'll have a very sound sleep. And the thief somewhere, in those high rises also would keep away. That is all right. But integrity is only to make compromises. Is that so? It is not. Now what I want is the right people have to fight against the wrong people. It was Plato, I believe, if I'm not wrong, he said one of the penalties of not participating in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors.
Right.
Right?
Right.
In Republic. Was it Republic?
Yeah, I have this book here. Here, Republic.
Yeah, so we can verify that later. So, this is how it is. We have become indifferent. First, people left Bihar. What will I do there? You're born in that place. Your forebears, they belong to that place. It is money from Bihar that got you educated. But you have nothing that you can do in Bihar. So people started this mass exodus in the form of labor forces and also educated labor.
Yeah.
You had uneducated, skilled laborers, unskilled laborers, then you had highly qualified laborers. They just, moved out. The exodus started. They cannot come back. The parents are justifying it. Deep down, they are so unhappy, you have no idea. You just have to, poke them somewhere. And then do not stop. ऐसा किए वैसा किए, he does not come back, his wife does not like me, we had gone there, वहां पे जाके क्या करेंगे? That is their state of existence.
Yeah.
And they are justifying themselves ki, what will I do when I go back to that place? What? As in when you were born, there was some kind of a announcement made, that Akashwani that we call it. that this man will work here and he'll be a great soul or something like that, and he cannot go back to Patna and live. We chose not to do that. Someday I might just leave this place. Someday I might just go somewhere else. But at least I will not say that there wasn't anything that I could have done there.
This person made and shaped you. This place.
No, irrespective of that, it is not out of gratitude. You belong here. I'm not asking people to come back and start, working here and be in Bihar only and do not go anywhere else. That would be a bad thing to do. You can't really do that. You cannot shut yourself out. But not coming to Bihar while assigning these reasons, I don't quite agree with that. You want things to be easy for you. You don't want to take a chance. You do not want to undergo that, the rigors of leading a normal life. A normal life in the sense, a life which has, ups and downs, and where you have to wait before you get results, where you have to persevere, to make gains or to succeed. You don't want that. You want things to be easy for you. That's why you don't come here.
Do you think a person who is well read is a sign of person who with integrity?
No.
Why? What's your reasons?
I don't think that is like that. What has reading to do with integrity?
So person can be an illiterate, uneducated person, but still
there is nothing called uneducated person. He might not have, those the degrees and the qualifications, but integrity is a natural. It's an attribute. It's a quality that you have. Integrity has got nothing to do with.
It's a character.
It's a character, yes.
Shall we talk about?
You have integrity amongst the thieves. They do not, misappropriate others' share. Integrity is a quality that you have. In the name of these notions, so many things have happened. It has got absolutely nothing to do with books. And when books were not there, were there not people with integrity? In the long history of humanity, books have come into being only now.
True that.
So integrity is it's a different thing. We have such wise people who have never been to school, not been to colleges. And what do these schools and colleges do to us? They inform us about certain things. That is all. Which in turn shape our personalities. But without going to schools, it is not that we don't have a personality or we don't have a character. We will have that. We have had that in people.
Shall we talk about Supreme Court's power to do complete justice? There has been lot of from politicians. There's have been lot of saying that Supreme Court shouldn't have such powers. So, do you think law can be put in a complete black and white, where what is written that has only to be interpreted, or there has to be scope of where judges there should be scope for judges to do complete justice, like which is there in Article 142?
I had written about this thing some time back. I've lost the manuscripts. But it was about, justicing is not a mathematical residue.
Krishna here, I think.
No, it is not. I'm talking about myself. I have given this
expression. He has. I think justicing is not computerizing.
That was about, that is, what is that case? 1979. That is
Delhi.
Raj Kapoor versus Delhi administration. There he's talking about, it should not be a mechanical thing. I'm talking about something else. Now, this entire process of justice, it cannot be that, these are the facts, this is the law, and this is the result. It cannot be like that. What may be just for somebody, it might not be just for somebody else. You have to evaluate the facts and circumstances of every given case. Even if Article 142 was not there, could the Supreme Court not pass orders? Where is the restriction that you can pass only these orders? We understand judiciary to play a particular role. What judiciary will do, it can never be defined. What justice will be done, it can never be, put down in black and white. Imagine a situation, there is no 142. You'll stop Supreme Court. They would not have added that this is an order to do complete justice, that we are passing this order. They would have passed that order nevertheless. No? Then Article 226, in addition to the writs, it says that pass any other orders. Direction, order or writ. So direction, order or writ, including writs in the nature of so and so, the 5 writs that are there. So the High Court can pass any order, which is appropriate in the given facts and circumstances of the case. If that is taken away, the Supreme Court will start doing incomplete justice. The politicians have to have some agenda. And sometimes, there are orders passed. They should be open to criticism. They're doing it every day, right? So there may be certain orders which might not appear to be right to some. Therefore, it is not the personal views of the judges that should form the only basis for passing orders. That is why we have, adversarial litigation. That is why we have parties, putting forth their cases. That is why we have long arguments. That is why we have precedents. Many a time it could be such that the judges want to pass X order, but they do not pass because they have binding precedents and they're bound by it. So we have a judicial discipline also in place. And politicians, I'm reminded of this joke where there was this conference of the heads of the three wings of the armed forces. So the general came, the army chief, he said, amongst the three forces, Air Force is the Cinderella of our forces, Then the naval chief, he came. So the admiral said that, he said many things, and he also added that of the three forces, Air Force is the Cinderella. Then the Air Chief Marshal came. He said, I don't know much about Cinderella, but all what I know is that she had two ugly sisters. So that's where I see judiciary. Now we have these institutions which have a role to play. Nobody's interfering with anybody's doing. But judiciary purposely has been given the responsibility to interfere with what they do. They should continue interfering because the day they stop interfering will be the day when they would be losing their relevance. And we don't want, the organ of judiciary to turn into appendix the way it is in the human body. It has to have its relevance. That's the heart. They are the protectors. Unfortunately, we see a trend where the courts are not interfering now in the name of something. In the name of sometimes, in the name of administration. That is not your responsibility. It is for the executive to do that. What will be the consequences? It could be, it may be one of the factors that should be relevant for you, but it cannot be the factor. You understand? If I am able to make out a case that these are the illegalities that have been committed and these are the persons who have been wrong, then the courts can't say or shouldn't say that, nahi, it will be upsetting the apple cart. Upset the apple cart. What is judicial review? We have actus curiae neminem no, not that. What is it? Fiat justitia ruat caelum. Let heavens fall. Let justice be done though the heavens fall. That is what we act on. That is what I do not say that to take those extreme measures and become completely blind towards the consequences that a particular order may have. But it should not outweigh other things. It should not be the concern for administration or the role of the executive should not be such that it leads to miscarriage of justice. Courts must play their roles.
Very well put. Let's try to understand some of the affairs of state of Bihar through the cases that you have done. One very important case that I've read, in which you have been part of, was this caste census matter in Bihar.
Caste survey.
Subsequent to which a reservation was given in Bihar.
Yeah.
So you have argued in this matter, and what are your views on it? Should there be such 65% reservation?
No, it should not be. There must be reservation, but not in this manner, that you create a society of divide. We have already lost that social cohesion. It is no more cohesive. It's a different kind of a society that we are a part of now. There are those clear divides on those caste lines. If you introduce these things in this manner, it is going to radicalize the entire thing even further. All right. This entire theory of affirmative action. Affirmative action, it has a role, and it is very important.
In this judgment, I think it must be from your petition, which is quoted in the judgment. I'll read that for you. Affirmative action has been held to be a recompense for the long deprivation, which cannot all the same compromise merit and efface it totally or even considerably. I think
I don't know which petition.
You have been attributed that this is your submission.
I would not really recall that. It's a big line for somebody to say, but there has to be a balance. Justicing is balancing,
Right.
right? There are two sides which are claiming this belongs to me,
Mm.
and then you have to take a decision, and you have to give it in favor of one side.
Mhm.
So it's about that. Affirmative action is very important according to me.
Mm.
The present form of reservation has failed.
Mm.
We do not have to provide them only reservation. We have to provide them something more.
Mm.
We have to bring them to a stage where they could actually avail the benefits of reservation.
Mm.
And we can't really have these leaders who are professing, who are we cannot really allow those people to remain there in the helm of affairs,
Mm.
fighting in favor of reservation, because it is their personal gains alone, nothing else. But we want reservation. There must be reservation.
Mm.
It should not be such that it takes away other person's rights. Historical wrong cannot be set right by committing a present wrong,
Mm.
right?
Correct. Very
So
well
there
put.
has got to be a balance. We cannot wrong somebody now because they say that ancestors of a given class were wronged by the ancestors of the person who is being wronged today.
Mhm.
We have to balance it out.
You told me earlier when I spoke with you about your dream of having these legal clinics. Can you tell
It is
me?
not a dream exactly, but I was, I thought it could be worked out. We can. It's a business idea basically. I should not be divulging much about it, but we can have it at a grassroots level. The people who are living in the rural uh, areas in the hinterlands, they have those schemes which never reach them, or there is a lot of corruption. I don't know what happens. A Mukhiyaji becomes suddenly rich.
Mm.
One term as a Mukhiya, his wealth multiplies 100 times. Unfortunately, we don't have laws to check that, or we have blind people sitting here. Stop, get aside. You violated the traffic rules. They can see that. Mukhiyaji becoming crorepati, they cannot see that. During a matter of a couple of years, the several vehicles that they have and all those things, they can't see. Where is the fund going? Where is the money going? And why should we have that kind of a system when you're not able to check pilferage of money there? So at the grassroots level, I had these intentions of creating those help centers where people could go and they could initiate the proceedings. How do you initiate? By way of an application. They don't know what is to be written. As a matter of fact, even many educated people, they don't write. They don't know how to write an application. So they cannot really be expected to know that. So we could have these pro formas of applications for them, which could be easily identified what problem is, what problem is being faced by them, and on that basis that format could be used for their complaints. And then we can have a team as a support system, and we can use the same political structure of the state. Like you have the capital, you have divisions, you have districts, you have subdivisions, you have blocks, you have panchayats, and then you have the smallest unit, the villages that are there. So we can use the same thing. It's an ambitious thing to do. It's a big thing, but if it happens, it will be great.
Yeah, very interesting.
And I must add, although the question is not that, justicing is not the responsibility of the judiciary alone.
Mm.
It is only in the event of denial of justice that people come to courts.
Mm.
The courts must always bear in mind that fact.
Mm.
Justice at the first instance is done by the judiciary, by the executive.
Mm.
And people who are coming to courts, they say that I have been denied justice, or I've
Very
been
interesting.
treated unjustly. You understand?
Yes,
So
yes.
justice delivery is not the sole monopoly of the courts.
People are blaming courts for that.
Miscarriage of justice is alleged. Then the courts see whether or not it is there, and then they pass orders. There is no miscarriage of justice. The executive, they are the perpetrators of those, illegalities against who you go to the court. In civil disputes, matters between two private persons in the parties, the contractual matters, and matters arising out of those commercial disputes and all, there I can understand. But when it is an action against the state where judicial review is involved, as in the courts are not the only organ of the state responsible for doing justice. It is the policy makers. It is the legislature at the first instance that makes the just law. Then it is the executive that implements that justly. And the people who come to court, they say that there has been miscarriage of justice, and that is what the court looks into. So justice delivery is everybody's responsibility, even the individual's responsibility.
Very well put. If you were to recommend someone one book that has been most transformational for you, what book do you
No,
recommend?
it will be Being Unjust to Many. I cannot do that.
Just one book, if you were to pick just one book. I just
No,
want to know.
that
You have already recommended me so many books. I've already
No, it
done
is not
reading.
about recommendation. I can tell you the books that I have read, which I found to be good.
Hmm.
If I'm taking one author's name,
That-
they will never, file a suit for damages against me. But I cannot.
When I ask this question, what's the first book that comes to your head?
There is no book that is coming to my mind. Otherwise, I would have told you the name of that book. There are many books.
Hmm.
Almost all the books, everything, not everything that is there in print.
Okay, suggest me some.
No, it will be a difficult task. As in, I have a few authors who I like reading. I had already told you earlier also. You have Milan Kundera. You have
Okay, that's all.
yeah,
Just one. I asked one. I asked one.
Nepal. No.
Yeah.
I'm not. It is not in that order of preference.
I'm already done reading.
If you're asking me in the order of preference, then V.S. Nepal or Milan Kundera won't be there. It has to be simpler books, smaller books.
I really like reading The Unbearable Lightness of Being.
Unbearable Lightness of Being, Immortality, Joke. There are many books that are there. I would not like to talk about books. As in, that was the first thing that people who believed in show off did, talk about books.
Yeah.
I like to collect books, if not for reading, at least for bibliophilic purposes. So that's how it is.
So, for someone who is contemplating to start practicing law in Bihar, what would your advices, suggestions?
You start it, and it will happen.
Great.
Like you can't win every day. In a similar manner, you cannot be denied every day. Your day will come, but always remember one thing: you cannot expect others to do what you would have not done yourself. There is a Jewish thing. It goes like. Not Jewish thing. I shouldn't be using those expressions, but it's from one of those testaments only, or it could be from those scriptures, some religious book, that do not do to others what is hateful to thyself. Now somebody added one line to it. Do not do to others what is hateful to thyself. This is law. Rest all is commentary. Right?
Right.
So a new lawyer, if he was a client, would he go to a new lawyer? He won't. He will make inquiries. But nobody was an old lawyer. Everybody was a new lawyer. But everybody got a case. They all, all the big lawyers or old lawyers or established lawyers or successful lawyers, they all had one thing in common. They all started as a new lawyer who had nothing. So at least, you share that commonality with them. And it's a profession. If you prove yourself to be good enough, people are bound to come to you. You have bad practices. Bad practices, you have, court hunting, and you have all those things. That in X court, Y lawyer will be good. This lawyers have made it like that. But this does not really affect anybody. There is a judge who has 100 cases to decide. All those 100 cases, that ex-lawyer alone is not doing, no? He may be involved in, say, engaged in 10 cases. 90 cases still are being done by other lawyers. This is an evil thing. This is a very bad thing. This is a very bad practice. And those who have turned this profession into a commercial enterprise, they're resorting to all these things only to extract money. They are thugs. They are basically thieves. Unfortunately, we do not have a law that could send them to imprisonment and all. But they deserve that. There is no way to check that thing. And I don't know. There may be beneficiaries of this bad system who are at the helm of affairs. Who knows what?
Right.
But what I say is that we have a paved right path. Let's follow that.
Great.
And the good thing about that is that there is not much traffic these days. On that. So it's
very
easy.
very nice concluding remarks.
Yeah.
So I have this segment where I ask question with my existing guest to ask the next guest who is going to come. So Mr. Mrigank Molly was here, and he had a question for you. He has a question for you. How do you distinguish between an order and justice? Is it always the same thing or different?
They have to do justice always. There is no distinction. They have to do justice no matter what. So
do you think the order which is he has used a very good expression in Hindi. He told that यहाँ अधिकतर फैसला मिलता है, न्याय नहीं मिलता. So
नहीं, न्याय जो है वो तो all encompassing expression है. न्याय is something that incorporates all those things. How do we define justice? I'll give you, I'll relate this thing, this tale. There was a king by the name Nemi. He was known for his sense of justice, Nyay Priya. So once he was going through a thick forest, and there he heard shrill cries of a dove. He looked up to see that on a branch there was a hawk, which had, and there was a dove in that hawk's claws, and he looked at the dove. The dove said, King Nemi, I have not done anything wrong. I eat grass and things like those. I've never harmed anybody. And this hawk, it's going to kill me and eat me. What's my mistake? What wrong have I committed? You save me. So King Nemi, he took an arrow out of the quiver and he was aiming at the hawk. The hawk said, what do I do? Nature made me like that. I'm a carnivore. If I do not eat this dove, I'm going to die. I'll starve to death. Do justice. King Nemi, he sliced a piece of flesh. That is the story. And he ransomed that dove. Are we going to save all the doves? Can we save all the doves? Justicing is a subjective thing, sir. You do justice. You're not passing orders.
Where's this story from?
I don't know. It is some tale, man. If you Google it, you'll get
Yeah, I'm aware.
I do not recall where I read it, but I read it.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Justice is what? Justice is a notion. You give somebody everything.
It's like love. There can't be one definition.
I have not. I have very little understanding of that thing. So you have people. They have won the cases. They come to you, and you are happy that this man will be happy. He comes and he tells you, "What about those who wronged me? I suffered for these many years. Is the court not going to do anything to them?" Do justice. Nobody can do justice to that. Some people are grateful. Do roti mil gaya. Some people are disgruntled. Khana acha nahi tha. You understand that?
Yeah.
So you cannot meet all the human problems. This is a notion that we have created. Nature has not made us like this. We have made ourselves so complicated in something, somewhat like this. Otherwise, there is a lot of abundance for everybody to survive, to live, and do all of that. When it is not there, the nature will stop procreation. So many species, they vanished. They perhaps could not, nature didn't want them. We have to accept, the way nature expects us to be, rather than manipulating it. Right. We had rivers, then we made dams, then we are facing problems. It's a cyclical thing, you see that. We had settlements wherever it was possible to have settlements. Then we wanted to settle in the places where you could not settle down. Then we changed the nature of that place. And then when we had fire, and then you had landslide. There were those places difficult to reach. The tirth that we have in our religion, in Hindu religion. So those places were durgam, difficult to reach, because that would show your devotion. Now we are making 6 lanes and every now and then you have accidents. And there are people who are resourceful enough, they have vehicles, they go there for picnics. Those places were for, for divine purposes, for divinity, for spirituality. You were going to those places for those reasons. Now you are going to those places
now
because
it has become tourist place.
It is accessible. You don't even know the purpose. So we lose sight of the purpose and then we do these things. Too much of resource, it's a bad thing.
Very beautiful. You have no idea how much I enjoyed talking to you. Thank you
so
for
much.
your time.
Thank you.
If you have enjoyed listening to this conversation, please consider supporting us for more such interviews. Thank you.